Tasmania's southwest. It's a wild place. It's pristine. It's precious. It's beautiful. And it's hard to get to. Unless you join an on-board Tasmanian expedition cruise. The adventure starts with a seaplane flight from Hobart to remote Bathurst Harbour. This exhilarating plane ride removes us in about 40 minutes from the civilised world of Tasmania's capital and transports you to a place of epic drama, staggering beauty and utter remoteness. Heading west, the view from the plane's windows shows how thin the veneer of civilization actually is. Past the Huon Valley, the paddocks, roads, dwellings peter out. Forests, mountains and lakes now dominate the view. A few minutes later, the dramatic spire of Federation Peak comes into view. Below and obscured by clouds is now rugged wilderness reserved for the hardy bushwalkers. Then, after a hop over our last mountain range, Bathurst Harbour comes into view. Foamy streaks cover the surface. They've formed due to a rather complex water movement phenomenon called Langmuir circulation, caused by a specific blend of wind speed and wave movement. We are now in a world that, if not totally devoid of human impact, is wilderness. In the words of Alan Alda, American actor and author, you have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition. What you'll discover will be wonderful. What you discover is yourself. Is that what brings us here? Now the pilot heads into the wind and, after some steep turns, lands the plane on tea-coloured water. This is when the Odalisque III comes into view. This custom-built catamaran, designed for the treacherous waters of the southwest, will be our base for the next 6 days. A floating hotel that offers a comfortable refuge from the wilderness around us. This might make wilderness purists raise their eyebrows in disgust. Staying on a luxurious boat is not a wilderness experience, they might claim. Only hard work, suffering, exposure, doing it by fair means can achieve that. Are they right? This is a question I ask myself. I'm an outdoor person. Mountaineering, trekking, nature, wild and untamed places are my passion. Roughing it was always part of my life. I'm also 65 years old. So, is this for me?
We're looking forward to having you all here the next 7 days and exploring this glorious UNESCO World Heritage area, which is very, very special and unique.
With the introduction out of the way, it's time for lunch. Now the stage belongs to Courtney, chef on board the Odalisque III. Whilst food is important, we are here to explore this remote, World Heritage listed wilderness. One of the first outings brings us to Clayton's Corner, and the weather is making a clear statement. The southwest of Tasmania, directly in the path of the roaring 40s, is not always a fair weather destination. Our plan is to climb Mount Beatty, a windswept hill rising above the mooring of the Odalisque III. The track first leads through dark rainforest. I'm in my element, on foot, out in nature, exposed to the elements. After a climb in the shelter of the forest, the track emerges onto a ridge. It offers the first view down to the Odalisque III. This walk is a reality check for all of us on the conditions that visitors to this remote region have to face. It is essential to bring good wet weather gear, a reasonable dose of fitness and a sense of adventure. Further up the mountain, the rain backs off, the visibility improves, and the epic beauty of the southwest starts to reveal itself. Back down at Clayton's Corner, we shelter in the house that Wynne and Clyde Clayton built in this remote location. With the fire blazing and the surprise of oysters and champagne, the adverse weather outside is soon forgotten. Back on board, the comfort of a drying room, a heated cabin, a hot shower, and a stiff drink or a steaming cup of tea in the lounge becomes the epitome of luxury. Then it is over to Courtney again for dinner. After another sumptuous meal, we tuck in for the night, with the devil already warming the bed. This, however, is not crawling into a tent with wet clothes on and trying to get warm after a long day in the elements. This is the easy way out. Do we cheat ourselves out of a more intense experience? Today we are going to explore the old river on the southeastern corner of Bathurst Harbour. It begins with an exhilarating morning ride. Dressed for all the unpleasant things the weather could throw at us, we sip in our fast dinghy across the large water body. But the rain is gone for now. It promises to be a nice morning for the river journey, and anticipation runs high. We follow the river upstream and then deviate from the old river into a side creek and penetrate into the swampy thicket as far as we can. It feels like exploring. What is behind the next corner? Will we see the elusive kingfisher? The main reason, however, why we came up the old river is a pocket of ancient Gondwana forest. A wander through this primeval forest brings us close to the world of ferns, moss, hewn pine, sassafras, myrtle. Yet even here, the world is not entirely pristine. Those seeking the precious hewn pine were already here. But the signs of previous exploitations are faint, and nature is back in charge here. I feel like whispering thank you and then have the urge to quickly retreat. We are strangers here, the invaders, short-term visitors whose permit is restricted to an hour or so. And that is as it should be. Then it is back to our floating base camp.
Welcome to dinner. Tonight is Greek style lamb. So it's cooked with Greek lemon potatoes, which have been cooked in a chicken broth. Some pickled onion, red onion, a little tomato salad, and some greens, and little pita bread and tzatziki. Thank you.
An expedition with on board is not a cruise in a traditional sense, where the ship is constantly on the move. The Odalisque III serves more as a floating base camp within this formidable wilderness. Only a few times during the trip the ship gets shifted to a new anchorage to find fresh grounds for exploration. Life on board is not the purpose of this expedition. It is the destination, the grand wilderness of Tasmania's southwest. 2 excursions per day underscore the focus on exploring this natural playground. But it is now time to move the Odalisque III to a new mooring at Schooner Cove. We leave Bathurst Harbour. To get to the next mooring, the Odalisque has to negotiate the Narrows and Bathurst Channel. I'm ready for new scenery, as I'm here to photograph. But I also know that images are two-dimensional. They don't show the damned coldness that creeps into your bones. They don't show what goes on in your head. The late German mountaineer Reinhard Karl, a gifted photographer, once said that a photo shows only a tiny fraction of the adventure. But it doesn't show the adventure itself. The next morning we head back through Bathurst Channel. It's a scenic dinghy ride and the rain is holding off. Our destination is the start of the track to the top of Balmoral Hill, a small mountain that promises panoramic views over the Narrows. Again, the climb is short, about an hour, and steep. The rough track is slippery and wet. We are clearly not the first here, and yet it feels like we are breaking new ground. It is also clear that this insignificant mountain, or a hill for a better term for it, doesn't see many visitors. Showers drift through in the distance, standard weather fare here in the southwest it seems. Some of us get a bit puffed out, including me. The truth is, most of us are not spring chickens anymore. I take a photo of us celebrating this small achievement. Was Balmoral Hill worth the climb? I'll let you be the judge. As is routine now, after the climb we hop into our dinghy and head back. As a little interlude on the way to the mothership, we stop at a cascade that forms a natural spa. And some of us can't resist a rather brief dip into the icy water while the rain is coming down on us. We know that only a few minutes away awaits the Odalisque with all its creature comforts. And as quickly as the showers arrive, they are gone. The southwest gives us a colourful evening and a glimpse how it could be. Temporarily. Then the showers close in again. This, however, does not matter. We are warm, freshly showered and ready for Courtney's magic in the kitchen. Food on board is refined and elevated comfort food with a strong focus on Tasmanian produce, designed to replenish lost energy. Tonight, steamed blue-eyed cod on a bed of pui lentils and broccolini is on the menu. All this is so much more enjoyable after a day out in the elements. Today's excursion is special. We leave the Odalisque early, with extra fuel and prepared for all eventualities, as it is going to be a long dinghy ride. This is Bond Bay and the James Kelly Basin. We pass these water bodies on the way up to the northern extremity of Port Davey, Payne Bay. At its end, the wild Davey River drains into the ocean. Wide and open for the first few kilometres, the river heads towards distant mountains obscured by rain showers. Eventually, the land left and right begins to rise, the river narrows and gets constricted by the steep hills. We are heading into the Davey River Gorge, a narrow rocky chasm in the surrounding hills. Foam drifts on the black water, forming swirling patterns. We enter a different dramatic world that is normally reserved for the most hardy of adventurers. I feel deep gratitude to be able to see this wild place. It makes me realize that I don't have the ability and perhaps the drive anymore to reach such an astonishing place on my own. It took a seaplane flight, a boat trip and a bumpy, often close to uncomfortable dinghy ride to experience this place. Is it wrong to travel to this remote spot with the help of a company that provides the logistics for all those who might not be able to walk or kayak into this gorge due to age or lack of skills? Is it right to pay good money for this experience? Does this fact somewhat diminish my experience? All I can say, being here, right now, fills me with deep happiness. It is a privilege, even if it is a bought one. And it is not over yet. On the way back, we duck into Blackwater Creek, a tributary of the Davey River. A deep channel leads to an opening, and from there we follow a narrow creek to a gushing cascade. It is on such excursions into the hidden nook and crannies that the beauty of the Southwest really hits home. It creates a deep understanding of the value of such wild places, a value that outranks the more prosaic monetary measurements we apply to mining, forestry or fishery, for example. It, however, also hands a great deal of responsibility to the operator of this trip. Sustainability is paramount. The Odalisque III is fully self-contained, including black water holding tanks and associated procedures that fully comply with the stringent Australian Maritime Safety Authority and Parks and Wildlife Service guidelines. A maximum group size of just 12 guests ensures a small footprint on the sensitive wilderness area visited.
Crazy fish. So it's done in a white wine broth with fennel, tomato, a little bit of pickled onions and capers, just all nice and fresh things, and served on risotto blanco, so a white risotto.
Close to the Odalisque's Schooner Cove mooring, a low saddle between two hills is the focus of the next excursion. A short dinghy ride brings us ashore to the beginning of a track that leads gently up to a hilltop with a view. Below is a hidden unnamed beach that frames shallow Hannant Inlet. Rarely visited, it is a great destination for a stroll along the sandy shore and to soak in the remoteness of this place. To get back to the boat, a little bush bash adds another dimension to the adventure. Guide extraordinaire on all these outings on the wilderness expedition is Peter Marmion. His encyclopedic knowledge earned him the nickname Wiki Pete. But it is his passion for this wilderness that has the biggest impact. Being in the company of Peter is not just a privilege, it enhances my experience to something that will last in my memory for a long time. It also brings home how precious and worthy of protection this corner of Tasmania is. So far, the dinghies served only as transfer vehicles to the start of walks. On today's outing, they take on a leading role. As conditions are favourable, we visit the aptly named Breaksea Islands. These islands are positioned across the mouth of Bathurst Channel, where they play an important role in deflecting the oceanic swell, calming the waters in the Bathurst Channel. These islands, also important shearwater rookeries, are dissected by dramatic chasms and sea caves. Another feature are blowholes. So, is all this only accessible for those with deep pockets? No, as this would be wrong. Guided sea kayaking tours, much less expensive, are also on offer. And if you have the skills and the right equipment, this rugged coastline is open to you as an individualist as well. Also accessible from the mooring at Schooner Cove is Balmoral Beach. This is another astonishing natural jewel. A sweeping beach with the prominent cone of Balmoral Hill towering behind. This is the same mountain we climbed a few days ago from the other side. A narrow, forested spit divides Balmoral Beach from Horseshoe Inlet. While we are walking along the deserted beach and cross over to the inlet, the Odalisque III is on the move, negotiating once more the Narrows. She's heading back to the mooring at Bathurst Harbour, as our time in the wilds of the Southwest National Park is coming to an end soon. We follow the Odalisque later in our dinghy, checking out a beautiful sheltered forest along the way. Today's excursion brings us to a place that contrasts with the surrounding wilderness. Melaleuca. This tiny settlement was originally established for tin mining by the King family. Access is by plane, on foot, or like us, by boat. To get there, we follow the protected waterway of Melaleuca Inlet that connects Melaleuca with Bathurst Harbour. On the way, we deviate and explore a little side creek. From the jetty at Melaleuca Creek, the Nidwani Walk leads into a tea tree thicket. Along this 1.2 kilometre long walk, we get a glimpse of local Aboriginal culture. Not far from the relatively untouched nature through which the Nidwani Walk leads is Melaleuca itself. From high up, the scars in the land are clearly visible. Melaleuca is as much an industrial wasteland as an island of human spirit, suffering and determination surrounded by wilderness. Melaleuca was the home to Denny King, a well-known tin miner, bushman, naturalist and artist. His deep love for the wild southwest played a pivotal role in the protection of it. The next morning, right on schedule, our taxi arrives. It is the quick way out for us. I leave with a deep sense of privilege and satisfaction. Yes, it was not hard as this untimed and sometimes unforgiving wilderness can be. But I now know that doing it the hard way is not required for me anymore to have a deep and lasting experience. In the end, this is only one way to experience the southwest of Tasmania. You have a choice how to see this wilderness. One boat, a few departures a year, small groups. This doesn't impact those who seek a true wilderness experience. Wilderness is a place for reflection, physical and mental challenge and renewal. Wilderness is emotional. It is a place for jubilation, doubt, wonder, inspiration. Like almost everyone who visits the southwest of Tasmania, this is what we experienced.